Think you can read the room? There you go. Read the room. I love that. Read the room. This show is about the people who navigate this for a living. Okay, I got this. Designers, entrepreneurs, and creative minds who do it all day long. I'm Erin Haskell. Let's read the room. I am here with the infamous Zach Gourde, former famous basketball player. How are you?
I am well.
Good.
Mm-hmm.
It's nice to have you here.
It's good to be here.
Yeah, is it?
It's a long time coming.
Are you sick of me yet?
Not even a little bit.
Uh-huh.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Well, a lot of people ask you, and they ask me, how is it? This is the number one question I probably get. Well, I get a lot of number one questions, but this is one of the top ones. How is it to work with your spouse? And what is that?
It's everything you think it would be and more.
Tell me more.
Well, it has its moments. What we're going on 8 years of working together and 4 years of working together full time.
4.5 years of working together full time.
So there's challenges. The biggest challenge is separating work from personal and home life and kind of figuring out how to draw that line. And I think we failed at that early on.
Yeah, we did.
And have learned and have gotten better at it.
But let's take a step back. So for the people that don't know you that well.
Yep.
I clearly do. But for the people that don't, you played basketball at Gonzaga.
Is that how you're defining me?
Relax.
Okay.
And then I didn't even know you then, so whatever. My mom was a big fan though.
I was very popular with her demographic.
Yeah, you were. Then you played in France for 10 years. I didn't know you then either.
No.
But talk about this is a little bit about you. I feel like a lot of people know about me. They'll get to know me better, but let's talk about you for a second. So, okay, you went to France, and I feel like, and again, this is just I guess we're getting into basketball now. This is just my knowledge of a lot of college age kids. When they don't make it to the NBA, they go overseas to play professionally. They usually do it like a couple of years. But not you. You went for 10.
Yeah.
Is that true? Read the Room is sponsored by HardwareHut.com. Since 1995, HardwareHut.com has been offering high-quality hardware online to builders, interior designers, project managers, and homeowners just like you.
About 9, but the burnout rate's pretty high. I'm becoming less and less now. Huge difference between when I did it and the kids who are doing it now is, I didn't have Skype or Messenger or free phone calls internationally. It cost me like a minute and a half to call the United States, and otherwise I was writing letters. That's not true. Like AOL Instant Messenger.
Yeah, email was
like
still a thing. I'm pretty sure it was. Yeah, it wasn't that long ago.
There was no video calling. There was none of that. You weren't talking to your friends. You weren't able to kind of live your life. A lot of the guys I know now live their life in English, except for at practice, and even that's mostly in English. And then the rest of the time they're interacting with people remotely. My experience had to be a little more immersive. I moved to a smaller town where there weren't a lot of native English speakers. Well, there are no native English speakers and not a lot of English speakers anyway. So I kind of had to figure out the language and figure out how to keep myself even just entertained.
Sure. Because your practice was what? Tell me, take me through your practice. And actually, I'm asking you this for the first time because I really don't know. But take me through your week.
So an average week, we only played one game a week. It's only the top, the very, very top level that plays in multiple leagues. So they play multiple games a week. Most teams over there only play once a week. They're on the weekends. So we practice Monday through Friday, generally 2 to 3 times a day. So figure 5.5 hours.
You practice 2 to 3 times a day?
Yeah, we'd practice in the morning, and then there'd be the expectation that we'd condition or go to the weight room in the afternoon, and then we'd have evening practice. which was like usually late because we were sharing the gym with kids who had after school stuff. So we didn't usually start our practices until 6:30 or 7 at night. So we'd practice until 9 or 9:30 and go home. So, I'd have morning practice at 8, be done by 10, have a couple hours off, have something from noon to 1, and then be off from 1 until 7 at night.
Hold on. You'd be off from when?
From 1 in the afternoon until 7 o'clock in the evening.
Okay, got it.
And then we'd have a game on Saturdays.
Okay. So you had a lot of free time.
I had a lot of free time. Yeah.
So how does it differ between like the NBA, for example, for practice?
Well, not having been in the NBA, I can only speak tangentially. Luckily, I have a lot of friends who've been in the league.
I'm just curious.
Those guys play. The whole difference is those guys play anywhere between 2 and 4 games a week. So they're constantly on the road. They're traveling all the time. When they're home, they might be home for 10 days, but they still play 4 games and have practice the rest of the days. The NBA schedule is pretty grueling, and it's long. Like the European league schedules maybe 30 games. The NBA's is 82. I mean, they're really not even comparable.
Okay. But thank you. I just wanted to see if it was comparable or not. So, okay, so you go to this remote city in France called
Feurs. F-E-U-R-S.
Okay. And then what? How long did you stay there? Because you were there for.
I was in Furs for 3 years.
Okay. And did you know French going in?
No, I learned.
But you are French.
Ethnically, mostly, oddly enough.
Yes. So that was just a coinkydink.
Going to France was intriguing. I hadn't really planned on playing professional basketball. Coming out of college, my senior year had not been the most amazing year in my career, and I kind of thought I was done with the
That's
sport.
not true. Listen, you were the first. You were the first of many in the NCAA.
I was the first player to go my entire career having gone to the NCAA tournament every season. So
there you go.
So I had played more games, hence won more games than any other Gonzaga player.
Okay, that's a big deal.
I've long since been.
Well, I always call you the golden boy.
I've long since been surpassed, but I held that record for a little bit of time. No, I know I have.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. I think I finally got knocked off the all-time shot block list last season.
Did you?
Yeah.
By who?
Well, I've been slowly creeping down for the last 15 years.
You don't know by who though?
No, who got it?
You just smiled with your teeth.
It does happen occasionally. I don't remember who knocked me out.
That's a big deal, by the way. For people that don't know you, you are the nicest guy ever. You have such a lovely demeanor, but you never smile with your. I know, but yet everyone thinks you're the nicest person, which I think, by the way, this is going off on a tangent. The fact that everyone sees you as such a kind, loving person, but you never smile, that's a gift. I smile all the time. People don't say that about me.
Well, I don't know what to tell you.
It's true, though.
I'm just apparently very pleasant.
You are pleasant, but it is a rarity that you smile with your teeth. So, congratulations.
Yeah.
I'm glad we got that.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, moving on. So, the second thing that was big in Gonzaga, because we can't talk about the first, was I know it was something other than the most wittiness, which I still don't think is a word, but I will trust you.
We can come back to this point.
Okay.
We can circle back.
All right.
We might have to use the Googler.
We might. Okay. So you went to
France.
I know, but what is it called? Furs. Sorry. Furs. And how long were you there?
3 years, 3 seasons.
Okay. And tell me about that. Like, did you, again, I feel like I get a lot of players go 1 year, 2 years, and I'm like, I'm out.
Yep.
Not you.
No, not me. Oddly enough, I was really close to calling it quits after the first couple months. Was actually playing pretty good basketball and having a good time. But, living over there was hard. I was in a small town. wasn't a lot to do, weren't a lot of people to talk to. I felt like I'd reached the end of the internet and with everything I could just read to keep myself entertained. But I really just kind of missed home. And I had a teammate on that team who you actually met when we were in France last year, Jean-Francois Raymond. Jean-Francois, Jeff, what was actually what we called him, spent a year at a JUCO in Missouri.
The one that you guys ate the barnacles together that
Yes.
was like dinosaur feet?
Yeah. That would be the one. Yeah.
Yes.
Jeff spent a year at a JUCO in Missouri basically right after his college ended. And he was the only guy I think who probably had a really good idea of what my experience was like at that point, having been kind of isolated. He spoke much better English than I spoke French at that then, but he told me to pack my bags, that we were going back to his hometown after a game. So, those games ended late. We were done at 10:30. We hopped in the car. It was a 3-hour drive back to his hometown. So we get there about 1 a.m, hit the first nightclub. Nightclub closes at 2, which is fine because the nightclub across the street opens at 2. So we went to a nightclub number 2 till the sun came up at about 5. The club, yes. Till the sun came up, promptly walked outside across the parking lot, went swimming in the Mediterranean, then went back, passed out for a couple hours, and then he took me to Domino's, which also sold pints of Ben & Jerry's. And it was the first American style food I'd had in months. And then he drugged me around, met a bunch of his buddies. And that night we had dinner with his parents and grandparents, family-owned restaurant. Shockingly similar to Luna here in Spokane in terms of feel.
Sure. It was the happening spot.
It was that. Yeah. Food was
been around for forever.
Yeah. Food
all
was
the
upscale.
Uh-huh.
Yeah. But the restaurant was closed that night because it was his grandparents' 50th wedding anniversary. So we sat down for a family dinner, which is also something I had not done in months and months.
Well, a few years.
Well, since I'd moved to Europe.
Okay.
I hadn't had, the familial community experience. And him dragging me out that weekend and taking me back to his hometown and sitting me down with his family ultimately was probably the thing, was the thing that changed my entire experience and the reason I stayed so long. That was when I adapted to life there. And is really the point that I actually started working on the language with some real effort as opposed to just
I'm going to learn French now.
Yeah, I'm going to learn French now. And by the end of that season, my French was not good, but functional. I could communicate well enough to get through most things. And I understood a lot more than I could say. But by the end of my second year, my French was pretty good. By the end of my third year, my French was fluent and I changed teams and I just never spoke English again. When I moved to a new city, I just started with everyone in French and the expectation that all my conversations would be in French. And I would go, weeks without ever speaking English.
Yeah.
So.
And you were like, this is me. This is my life now. Yeah. Were you going with the expectation of a couple of years, just like a lot of your teammates?
No, I was honestly going with the expectation of 1 year.
Really?
Yeah. I had kind of planned on going back to law school. I'd even talked to the dean of the law school at Gonzaga, and the plan for me, in my head at least, was go play a year in Europe, say that I did it, tick it off the list, then come back and get on with the rest of my life. And then I blew my meniscus on my left knee shortly before the end of my season, my first year over. And I came back and finished the year with the last couple games and was playing really well. And would just had this feeling, I don't want to quit on this note.
Yeah.
I don't want to go out with an injury and just stop. I'll give it one more year. So I gave it another year. And the team was happy to pay me more money and they liked me and they wanted me to stay. And then that led to another year. And then I changed teams. And that fourth year was probably the year I had the most fun.
Fourth year?
Yeah, my language skills were great.
So you went from Fawn to where?
I went to Le Portel, up in the north, up on the actually right across the channel from the White Cliffs of Dover. Like
Sure.
I could look out my apartment window across the channel and see Britain.
It sounds magical.
It was gorgeous. It was actually shockingly like living in Seattle.
Really?
It was wet and rainy and damp all the time. Yeah.
Well, or like where you're from.
Or like where I'm from.
Which people don't know that. You're from the Couve.
I am from the Couve.
Vancouver.
I'm actually from an even smaller town
right outside
of the Couve.
Well, okay. So you're from right outside of Portland, which is Vancouver, and then you're outside of Vancouver, which is
Hawkinson, Washington, which no one has ever heard of.
Well, that's not true. I'm sure some people.
Yeah, there's not even a post office there anymore.
Oh.
Yeah, it's flashing one flashing. Actually, they might have a stoplight now, but they did not back then.
Well, and people don't know this, but I'm just going to say this. Your when you went to high school, you actually played with a lot of Gonzaga teammates that I feel like a lot of people wouldn't know that.
This is true. Dan Dicko and I were high school teammates. Richie Fromm was at the other high school in our school district. So, I mean, at one point, all three of us were playing together.
So that's pretty cool.
Yeah.
I think that's a fun fact.
Yeah, we all grew up, and we're all just a year apart. So it was bang, bang, bang.
So back to Europe. So you decided you're like, okay, every year were you like, this is going to be my last? Or were you like, yeah, I'm going to do this for another 2? Or like, what was that thought process there?
You know, there wasn't a lot of thought process.
What's it?
No, it was going well. I had bought a house in Spokane, so
Yeah.
I had that financial responsibility. You know, and each year.
But didn't you buy it before you even went?
No, I bought it the summer after my first season. Yeah. So I had to make the mortgage payment, you know, and basketball was paying me, I mean, not an amazing amount of money, but a reasonably decent salary for a recent college graduate in 2003.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, so I just kind of kept rolling it, and the opportunities kept getting better, and I kept getting to go to more fun places. And
But when you moved back to Spokane, you were going to go to law school, and then a former,
Booster's the word.
booster, yeah, kind of intervened and said, "Hey, why don't you work for me?"
He said, "Why don't you work for me while you're prepping for law school?"
Okay.
It was supposed to be initially. It was a part-time gig, and then after a couple of weeks, it became a full-time gig, and after a couple of months, it became let's see how this goes.
When I met you, I just finished grad school.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
You were living with a nice older couple in the South Hill.
Yes, I did I said I live with a nice older couple in the South Hill, which were my parents.
Yeah.
Yeah. You can take that, by the way.
Mm-hmm.
It's a good one.
Nice older couple, otherwise known as a basement dweller.
Listen, I was in grad school. Here's the thing. I'm just going to say this right now. If anyone has a chance to move back in with their parents when they're in grad school, do it. Because you're never there anyways. And I tried to be, when I moved back to Spokane, I'm like, I'm going to get my own place, blah, blah, blah. I was never. So, and also it's just when you're older, to move back with your parents, it's actually kind of a treat. I think that a lot of people don't necessarily get to experience, and I got to experience it. So that's just my 2 cents on life advice. But yes, I was.
Oh, there we go.
Yes. Okay. So yes, I was working for Herman Miller. You were working for a drilling company.
Right.
Yes. And then I decided to start my own design firm.
Yep.
Yes. And I had worked for a few architecture firms around town. I even went back after Herman Miller just to be like, do I still got it? And sometimes you just have to kind of prove to yourself, do I still got it? And, the answer was yes. And so I decided to go for it. And what was great was you had, I think in partnerships, which is really nice, is that, you kind of had this steady job. So when one partner has that, the other partner has the ability to be a little more risky.
Yeah. I mean, we sat down and did the math and realized that my income could support our lifestyle.
Yeah.
I mean, we weren't going to be making any progress forward.
We weren't going to go to
We
Mexico.
weren't going to be going on vacation, but
No.
we had all of
But
our
we could
basic
go to the
needs met.
groceria. Yeah. Nowadays, a little different. But back then, yes, we could.
Yeah. So we just kind of rolled the dice.
Yeah.
And it was nice because you had the freedom to do that. And there wasn't a lot of, the financial aspect wasn't a ton of stress.
Yeah.
I mean, obviously it was going to have to make money at
Sure.
some point, but we didn't have to make money month 2, month 3, month 4. I mean, ultimately you did. And the whole thing progressed a lot faster than I think either one of us anticipated it. But yeah, no, we were in a nice position that we could roll the dice, take some risks, and not really have to worry that much.
Yeah, I think a lot of couples do that where, one takes the risk where one is a little more like, rock solid for that particular reason.
Oh yeah.
Right? Yeah. So we were lucky in that respect.
Mm-hmm.
So then what happened, Zach?
And then what happened? Well, I mean, the business took off.
Yeah.
You're designing all over the place.
Well, that was 7 years ago.
Right.
Or 8 years. It's 8 years ago.
Okay.
Yeah. I wasn't designing all over the place quite yet.
Well, no.
I actually took on 74 jobs that year.
Yeah, I mean, you were designing all over the place. Not like you're designing all over the place now, but
Oh, designing all over the place. I remember.
like Schweitzer, Hayden Lake.
Oh, yeah.
The South Hill, the North End.
I lived in my car. I just remember, I don't know, 74 jobs that year or something crazy. I mean, I said yes to everything. I was like, oh, you want me to design your garage? Yeah, I'll do that. Want me to design your,
No.
kitchen nook? Yeah, I'll do that.
To be fair,
I mean, I said yes to everything.
To be fair, I think that's how most designers who end up going out on their own, how they get started. I mean, yeah, there are some people in the industry who, got one job and just completely blew up their career. But no, most designers end up bootstrapping it for a while.
Oh, yeah.
And doing all kinds of things you don't want to do.
Oh, yeah.
Dealing with clients you don't want to have.
Totally. Yes.
And then
yes.
ultimately
it's the best way to do it to say I was like, yes, 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 yes. And then, I remember lots of days I didn't even have time to go to McDonald's, but I remember going through the drive-thru because I lived in my car. So, and I remember just I had 5 minutes to myself and I just remember being ultimate bliss in the McDonald's parking lot. Or, as people know me, I love a good burrito. I would go to my local burrito shop and I even had a burrito towel in my car. And I would just
delinquent. Just delinquent.
That was my spa day. Okay. For 10 minutes of bliss. Yeah. I took everything.
But
and I worked from 8 a.m. to 9 p.m. Because a lot of times, people are working during the day, so they can only meet at night. So I would go from 5 to 6. I go to this meeting. From 6 to 7, I go to this meeting. From 7 to 8, I go to this meeting. And it was just I just said yes and yes and yes to everything. And you're just figuring it out.
Yeah, but by the end of that year, you had already achieved the major turning point for most new designers. You were in a position to say no.
Well, yeah, I guess so.
At about the 12 to 14 month mark was the point where there was enough work and there was enough stable work in the projects that were getting
bigger.
Which inherently made them more stable.
Right.
You didn't need to chalk as many small things together to generate the same amount of revenue.
Yeah.
And you could say no to clients that you didn't want to take on. Either if it was, personality things or you just didn't want to do the house.
Yeah, I'm not sure if it was in the first year, but I think it was close to that. God, it all kind of goes together. But I think you're right. I was getting more larger jobs, and then when you get larger jobs, they require a lot more time. And then as that goes, it's you can only take on so many jobs, right? Because you only have so much time to devote to those particular jobs. So yeah, I do think you're right that it was just it was about, I think you have to say yes, 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 and then it's kind of trial and error of life. It's okay, well, I know I don't want to work on this again, or I know that this personality or this, especially when it's residential, because it becomes so intimate, so much different than, like a commercial job, which I feel like I'm really lucky to do both because I love doing both for different reasons. But when it comes to residential, yeah, it's just so intimate and, and sometimes it's just not the right fit for people. And I think that's good. I think that's okay. I think I talked to a lot of designers about that. So yeah, I think I was able to say yes, but I'm not sure in the first year.
No, trust me, it was thereabouts.
Maybe you remember better
Trust me,
than
I
me.
was paying attention.
Okay. Yeah. And then so basically I recruited you on the nights and weekends.
Yeah, I was a nights and weekends guy.
You were a nights and weekends guy.
Which was great because I was already working 50 to 60 hours a week at my day job. So nights and weekends was fun.
I was like, all right, Zach, we got to go deliver this sofa. Are you excited?
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. And you and I moved a lot of furniture that you and I should not have moved.
Most people get divorced over moving one sofa. I mean, they yell pivot to each other 3 times and they're done. But you and I did it multiple times.
Yeah. And I don't like to think about the amount of times that we'd put a sofa down and then we'd need to move the rug 2 inches.
So many times.
And then move the rug 2 inches.
Oh, yeah.
And then, we better change rugs.
I was a lot more fit back then, don't you think, Zach?
You were a good partner at that point. I'm not sure I'd recruit you anymore to move furniture.
Listen, I've kind of retired. Okay.
Yeah, well, one can only schlep things for so long.
Well, the thing is, I always say it's so easy for you. Like you just da 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 da. You're just good at it.
I have a couple physical gifts that give me a mechanical advantage. So,
but I would say for the first couple of years, like nights and weekends, you and I were schlepping about town.
Oh yeah, no, we were delivering furniture, rearranging houses.
Yes,
we did
the final touches.
We did
you and I
custom paint jobs.
Oh yeah,
we whitewashed.
Yeah, absolutely.
We did all kinds of things ourselves that we either couldn't find somebody to do and on the timeline we needed, so we did it ourselves. We built rock walls.
Oh yeah. I mean, I remember so many times, like on Saturdays, like we were going to this house and like we were stuffing pillows to the point where it's one of those things where it's like, this may be a 1, maybe 2, like back and forth car ride. And we're like, oh, let's get this in one.
Yeah.
It's one trip. It was a thing where it's like 1 or 2 trips maybe, but we're like, no, we're
going to do it in one.
We're going to do it in one.
Well, yeah, I'm sure you remember the van. The first van. Yeah.
Well, no, even before the van, we would stuff to the brim like pillows and accessories and whatever, to the point where like you couldn't even see.
Yeah, no.
And I was like, is this what you imagined in your life?
That's always what I'd hoped my weekends would look like.
Yeah.
Redoing other people's houses.
Yeah. Yeah. And then we got the van. We're like, okay, we can't do this any longer. Like, we need a larger vehicle.
And we did it on a budget.
Oh, yeah. Tell us about that.
Let's see. We bought a 1997 E350 Ford van with a big block that had 306,000 miles on it.
Yes.
And we bought it from one of my former employees. He had been his motorcycle racing van.
Yes.
So it had hella driving lights and a rooftop tent and custom vinyl graphics that we had to remove. We looked like a bunch of delinquents. We really did. We literally were those people driving the white windowless van. But you know what? It delivered a lot of furniture.
It did. And it broke down a lot.
Not so much broke down. It was finicky. It had some issues, and by the end, it was burning more oil than gas.
Yeah.
But it got us where we needed to go.
Yeah.
And then, it made us enough money to buy the next van.
It did, but I think we're also missing the point too, where we had like our warehouse was basically out of our garage. And then our second warehouse was like we rented like a place in the valley where things I think a lot of people don't really know that when you're, purchasing furniture, especially business to business, they're not going to deliver it to residents.
No, they won't. So we had to have a commercial address.
Commercial address.
So we found a commercial address out in the valley.
Commercial address in the valley. We did that for a while, and then that's when we got the van. And then in 2020, right? We're like, okay, we need to like, how did it come about that we said we have to find a space to have a proper furniture store?
I don't think it started as we need a space for a proper furniture store. I mean, I think it grew as we needed a physical space.
Yeah.
But we knew we wanted more than an office. We wanted room for the libraries and all the other stuff, and we wanted all the material libraries, and we had enough furniture from projects, and we're turning through enough furniture that we thought, well, we should be able to show this stuff off and let people kind of feel and touch it. So I don't know, sometime summer of 2000. Of course, you also remember this is, like lockdown is just kind of sort of winding down.
No.
The first time, yeah. Mm-hmm. It ramped up, ran through early summer, things opened back up, and then it got bad again around
but we
Thanksgiving
wanted it even
and
before
lockdown.
that. I mean, 2019, I remember when we were going to all these markets, I was just like, these people, and I'm talking about these people as in the public, don't know what's out there. I mean, they only know what they know. They only know like the retail vendors that, market to
Why do you think
the
RH?
public.
Why do you think RH is successful?
Exactly. RH,
Crate and Barrel.
Our House. Like that's all everybody knows. But there are so many amazing vendors out there that no one has any idea about. And
I know, and we were going through a ton of vendors. We had a lot of stuff because we were doing a huge diversity of projects at the time.
Yeah. And
in terms of styles. So we were using a lot of different suppliers for things. And we, ultimately after projects, you'd occasionally have something left over. So we kind of had a surplus of things too. I mean, it wasn't massive, but we had some pieces that we didn't need.
But I remember being like, we have to restore. Like it just like came over me. I'm like, we have to. And we did in 2020. Well, yes, but we secured it in the summertime. I remember going to one of my family friends and saying, hey, which is where we are now, I really love your building. Can we lease it?
Yeah. And, and
it also had no electrical at the time.
No. And things were not leasing in
everyone was like total lockdown. Yeah.
So we acquired this building that is basically just a big empty concrete box with a lot of pillars in it.
Yes.
And we spent the next month basically just cleaning it.
Yes. It was like red and yellow paint. And it used to be a warehouse for train parts. So literally on one side of the building to the other side, it's like an 8-inch difference,
Yeah, so they could roll the wagons full of stuff towards the...
that's right. But it's beautiful.
It is. And it's got great light. And it's got amazing windows. And it had a lot of positives to it.
Totally.
The elevator could be bigger.
Yeah.
Would make my life a lot easier. I mean, I just had to carry a beautiful, like 104-inch Kravet sofa down the stairs the other day because it wouldn't fit in the elevator.
I know.
Yeah.
God bless you.
Yeah. 8-way hand tie's not light.
No. Benchmade.
Mm-mm.
It is not.
Oh, talk dirty to me.
Okay, so, but that was in 2020.
Mm-hmm.
And we were open kind of by appointment, not on purpose, but we really wanted to make people feel safe. I feel like.
Yeah, we need to make people feel safe.
I wish we just opened right away, 6 days a week, blah, 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 but it just didn't feel right at the time.
No, it was appointment only. And it rolled like that for a number of months. And then we had 1 day a week we were open to the public.
Yeah.
But it was pretty easy. We had to manage crowds that came through because the crowd was like maybe 2 customers instead of 1 at that point.
Right.
So you can be on that side of the floor, then you can be on that side of the floor.
Yeah, it was a weird time to open But it was also an interesting time because people were just starting to buy a lot of stuff for the home.
Oh yeah, because people were stuck in it.
Right. So it was like that interesting time where, we just felt at the time it didn't feel right to be open every day.
We also didn't have the resources to have staff there every day.
I mean, we were there every day.
Yeah, we were there, but we weren't there all day every day. You were
Yeah.
running out to see clients and projects, and I was going out to deliver things, and we were in and out.
I got a lot of advice from people at that time, a lot of business advice from a lot of business people.
And most of them was don't do it.
Oh, yeah. Everyone told me, don't.
We went to the trade shows. Everyone said, don't do it.
I mean, everyone said this is the dumbest thing you could ever do.
We hired a bookkeeper, and she said, don't do it.
Everyone said don't do it.
And she was an industry bookkeeper. All she did was designers.
And I will tell you this, I put every cent I had into furniture to purchase for the store. Everything. So I just
that was the terrifying part, is we spent everything that you had made.
Yes.
Everything the business had made, we'd left in the business. You had not taken any money out.
No.
So every single cent that was sitting in the business suddenly got vaporized for inventory.
And that's another thing too. We bootstrapped it. I mean, I never took a loan from the bank. A lot of people ask me that. I never took a personal loan from anybody else. I mean, I truly started this from my house, garage, whatever you want to call it. But no, I never took a loan.
And we expanded just out of cash flow.
Totally.
If we had goals, we wanted to do something, we waited until we made enough money to pay for it, and we did it.
It's interesting because, looking back, I mean, I just didn't even think about it. I wasn't even like, oh, you could get a loan. I was like, no, everything we make, we're doing this.
Well,
I mean, did we even talk about that?
not at the time, but
No.
But as we talked about earlier, we were still in the position where my salary was covering.
I mean, we could go to the grocery store.
And nobody was loaning money.
No. Exactly.
Nobody was going to finance a furniture store startup in an old building that had never had any occupants in it.
Correct.
In October of 2020.
Well, it was in the summer, but okay. We started in the summer, Zach.
Mm-hmm.
We did.
We took possession of the building. Our lease started October 1st. That's why I know, because our lease is now up October 1st. Okay. That was the first day of our lease. So I know when we opened.
Okay, but I negotiated in the summer.
Yes, you negotiated in the summer. And we technically got in the building 2 weeks before we took possession.
Yes, we did. But
I had some trepidation about opening the store. That was a big move. And what we had been doing had been working really well. I mean, you were kind of cooking along. I mean, obviously there was enough money in the business for us to drop $250,000 on inventory. So your 3 previous years of churning all those projects had been pretty successful. So,
well, I was also working.
It wasn't sustainable.
150 hours a week. Yeah.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So it wasn't sustainable, but it was a big move and not something that either one of us had any substantive experience in. I mean, you'd worked some retail in high school, and
I also worked as a bartender for 10 years. Same.
There we go. So yeah, no, I mean, I had some trepidation, but once we kind of got the space and got stuff started to roll along, it kind of started to make more sense. You could visualize it.
Are you saying I didn't have any experience in what? That's confusing.
In running a retail establishment.
But it was design. I had plenty of experience at that.
No, I know, but we were expecting to have retail traffic to make the whole thing sustainable.
Like, yeah, but
we had no experience in inventory management.
Point. I looked at it not as running a furniture store. I looked at it as an extent of the business of a design store. Like, okay, maybe you don't want to do a full kitchen remodel. Maybe you don't want to do a full house remodel. But you know what? I want her curated, or I want Design for the People's curated products. That's how I looked at it. I never looked at it as like, oh, how are we going to sell a sofa this month? Like, I never looked at it that way.
No, I
Ever.
don't think either one of us looked at it that way. But I was looking at hey, okay, now we have to figure out warehousing. Now we have to figure out inventory management. Now we have to figure out cash flow.
Okay, so I think we're talking about different things. You were looking at logistics.
I
thought you meant that you were looking at like, oh my God, we have to sell X, Y, and Z. I never looked at it
No,
as like,
I was
we have
never
to sell X, Y, and Z.
I was never worried about being able to sell things. Like we had enough design clients coming in to support the basic churn of things through the store. But now suddenly we have to figure out, a regular delivery operation. We've got to figure out warehousing, merchandising, the amount of, which, I mean, this is a sad part of the design industry nobody really talks about, but the amount of waste management that has to happen with cardboard and styrofoam and packing material and that aspect. Like there were a lot of non-design parts of the business that we had to come up with. It was
all logistical, which is, I think, a lot of like, even nowadays, a lot of, architecture firms and other design firms, try to do what we do. But the unfortunate part is they have no idea the work that is involved in just logistics.
No, and it's expensive in terms of man hours. That's probably person hours now. No, I mean, there's a lot of cost involved with running that operation from a labor standpoint and the amount of time and effort and money it takes to set it all up.
So true. By the time, you order a product, by the time it goes from A to B to C to D, you do this, you place it, you build it. It's like, there's logistics out there of like how many hours that is. That's not even built into the price of it, right?
Yeah, and there's some silly...
Just for people to sit in it.
And there's some silly stats, like we probably own $6,000 worth of furniture dollies. Now granted, we've been doing it for a long time and we didn't start the store with all those furniture dollies, but like those are the stupid little things. Like most designers might need 2 or 3 for a project.
Right.
For our operation and the warehousing and moving things between buildings, and we probably have 35, 40 plus hand trucks, plus pallet jacks, plus we've rented forklifts on multiple occasions for like every time we need to do a whole project in Hawaii. We've got to get a forklift on site so we can load the containers. I mean, there's a lot of associated costs that the average designer doesn't have to run into, or architecture firm doesn't have to run into in their average project when they're doing finishes and fixtures and that side of the interior design. The decor and styling takes a whole different set of skills, both from the design side and the logistic back end, which is, kind of my gig.
And I would say a lot of what you're doing now is business development.
Yeah, no, it's nice that we're in a place where we have staff that does a lot of the things that
we have a really good team.
We've got a great team. I cannot imagine doing half of the stuff we do without the team we have now. I'm trying to spend more time finding more interesting things for us to do. Trying to kind of diversify the things we're doing in terms of doing things directly for developers, partnering with real estate agents. Obviously we have a trade program. So we have a ton of trade partners. We're trying to expand that.
Yeah, we work with a lot of designers, which I think a lot of people don't know about us.
No, because
we're a receiving warehouse for designers, and we're also like their support team for all installs and delivery, because we have such a A+ team that we offer it to certain designers, which is, I think, amazing. I wish I had that. I wish I had a resource like us when I was starting out.
I'm glad we didn't, because we wouldn't have opened a store and everything else if we'd had all that. Because one of the reasons we opened the store is because we had to build all these systems to do all this stuff.
We filled the void.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, so I spend a lot of time talking to realtors and developers and general contractors just kind of trying to develop relationships that lead to opportunity.
And how is it to work with your spouse? Let's go back to question number 1. Now that we've come full circle.
Well, we haven't killed each other yet. Generally, it gets easier and easier the more we do it. Obviously, it was super easy at the very beginning because I don't think anybody really understood roles and we were kind of figuring it out. And even that part was just kind of fun. But then once you kind of roles got separated, we slid into a groove. Then it kind of had to figure out what everyone's lane was and then and how to stay in it. And that was a challenge. I mean, the problem was often that work never ended at that point. Like you didn't get off at 5 and go home and transition to being a loving married couple. You were still working together. And the conversation on the sofa at night was not about how was your day? How was your day? It was like, how are we going to fix this by tomorrow?
Well, I think, to be fair, I totally agree with you. I think a lot of it too is like we're so busy during the day that, especially if, I know you are, I know I am, that sometimes we don't even see each other during the day. So the only opportunity I have to talk to you is at night, where I will say this, like you're a person who doesn't want to talk business at night, and I do.
Yeah, no, when I'm off work, which is more of an emotional choice than a time choice. It's not like it's at 5 o'clock, I'm done. But when I am emotionally done for the day, I'm done. Mm-hmm. That could be at 5, that could be at midnight, depending on what's going on.
More at 5.
It was lots of years where it was midnight.
Which I think is healthy. It's more of, hey, listen, I need to talk to you about something. And I think that the challenge is for me is like, you're just like, nope, we're not talking about that. But then we don't have time to talk about it any other time.
Well, no, that's been the biggest challenge, is figuring out how to time block our own time so that we don't have to give up every single moment of our personal lives.
Yeah.
And our married life to the business. Mm-hmm. Having the occasional date night and deciding beforehand that we will not be talking about work for the next 2 hours. Mm-hmm. It's occasionally a challenge, especially when a random text comes in from a client at 7:54 about something that happened, or a contractor that didn't do something, or a contractor that has questions. Like, you can't, in our space, we can't just be unavailable all of the time. Although some designers do, the way they've structured their business. But
I would say that we have pretty good boundaries. Like, if someone texts me after 5 p.m., I'm not going to text them until the next morning.
Well, that's great, but you're still reading it and thinking about it, which means I'm thinking about it.
Yeah. Yeah. Yes. I think sometimes I come off as like, I don't care, but I actually do care. Like, I am a sensitive person when it comes to the way that I conduct business. So that's true. I will allow it to
invade. Well, which is fine. But I mean, it's setting those boundaries has been important, and maintaining them is not always easy.
Yeah.
And when we fall into times where we stop maintaining them, things get less fun.
Mm-hmm. What's the best thing about working with your spouse? He goes silent.
Silent, complete silence, radio silence. This is going to sound weird, but in certain ways, it's not ever having to ask, how was your day? I know how your day was long before we get home. And I mean, it's nice being able to collaborate with your spouse on stuff beyond, like, the average couple gets to maybe pick out paint colors together at Home Depot on the weekend. We get to collaborate on all kinds of things. And while I generally stay 99% out of the design side, there's still lots of other stuff we get to collaborate on. How the business is run, how, the branding, the marketing, all the stuff. It's fun to get to have input on all those things with your spouse and feel like you've built something together.
What's the worst thing?
Everything else.
Are you going to ask me the same thing?
Well, I don't know. If I get an opportunity, I will. This podcast has gone much like our normal discourse. You a lot of talking, me a lot of listening.
Well, I'm the interviewer.
Well, I know you are. So I'm gonna do the same thing I did on our first date after I talked way too much for the first 20 minutes. So tell me about you.
Well, I would say that I actually love working with my spouse. But there's no but. I think we do. I think at the end of the day, we've had all the fights you can have. We've had all the discussions you can have. We've kind of been to all the gamuts you can do as a couple in a space of being stressed out about the same things, stressed out about money, stressed out about employees, hurting employees' feelings, not hurting employees' feelings. What do we, clients, how are we going to handle this client? How are we going to handle that client? So it's like we've kind of run the gamut of all these things, and we've gotten into all the blow ups I feel like you can blow up about in the past however many years. I'm sure there's more, but I feel like during that time we've kind of realized what we're good at and what we're not good at.
Yeah, I think we've kind of come to a point where everyone kind of plays to their strengths.
Yes.
We're
still learning. It's not perfect.
No, and it comes down to that, don't ask somebody to do something they can't do.
Right.
Which I think as we've both learned how each other functions within the space, have figured out that there are certain things that I'm not going to ask you to do because it's not to your strength. And there's certain things you shouldn't ask me to do because even though they need to get done, not to my strength.
I think when you own your own business, I think that's the biggest thing. One of the biggest things. So there's so many, but I realized really quickly what I'm really not good at. I mean, you can't avoid it. I think a lot of people maybe do, but I really realized you are not self-talk. You are not good at X, Y, and Z, and you are good at this. And I'm really good at this, and you're so bad at all of these things.
Yeah, the problem is sometimes you still got to do them.
But you still got to do it. I know. But I think but it becomes clear then the type of person that you need to hire, right? Or the type of team that you need, the type of person that fills that void.
Yeah, and luckily, for a long time, the two of us was enough to fill most of the voids. But as the business scaled and got larger, the voids got bigger and bigger and bigger. There were more things that needed to be done, and there were more skill sets required.
Yes.
I mean, we needed more strengths in certain aspects than either one of us had. Even if we'd had the time, they wouldn't have been things we were good at in the first place.
Yeah, I mean, I think the real trying times, I would say, of working with your spouse is when times are good and the economy's great, you kind of can do that to a lot of things. That didn't feel that great, but whatever, because it's all gravy. It's all good. But I feel when, times are a little tougher or you kind of are going through something, that's when I think a lot of people nitpick of hey, I think when people get stressed, they tend to
be more sensitive.
Well, not only that, but
and lash out a bit more.
Well, yeah, but also be this isn't working, this isn't working, this isn't working. When times are good, you're I'm just focused on the next big thing.
Well, I know, but one of the biggest mistakes a lot of small businesses can make is start changing things when things are bad, just for change's sake.
Correct.
Luckily, that's something we've never done. We've added new things when things were slow, but we added them because we had the time, not because it was just, we never gave up the stuff we were doing before.
Right. We've always stayed true to what we're, who we are and what we're providing.
Yeah, there's a core business, and there's a bunch of tangential things that are kind of not randomly, but kind of tangentially related to it that have also grown. But as that's grown, so is staffing and all the other things.
Mm-hmm. What's the one thing that you think that I could improve on?
The one thing you could
as a business. I mean, let's get down to the nitty gritty. Everyone wants to know that.
I would like to see your communication down the chain a little more structured and a little more comprehensive. So one of the biggest problems is you have all of these one-on-one conversations with clients, and they might start over email and then transition to a phone call and then 5 or 6 follow-up text messages.
Yeah.
And, I know a lot of designers have dictated to their clients, no, there's only one way to communicate with us, which we have moved to, but we also have, what I think of as legacy clients,
Totally.
people who we've been working
We're
with.
used to texting me at all hours of the night, and it's okay because I've been with them for forever.
And when we first got
And
started,
they're the reason why we're here.
100%. And when we first got started, we felt we needed to do that.
Mhm.
Because you couldn't afford to miss an opportunity. You couldn't
Yeah.
afford to. So we were available 22 out of 24 hours a day. And, so that's one of the hardest situations is when that happens, when you are using 6 or 7 different mediums to communicate with somebody.
Yeah.
And then one of us needs to be able to pick the ball up and run with it, whether that is executing a design decision or dealing with a vendor to get something for a client or whatever it is. Like, not having the full breadth of the conversations available makes it hard and makes you second guess yourself.
You're talking about like for other team members who aren't part of those conversations.
Yeah, even myself when I'm not part of this, because I'm not there for a lot of the design discussion. I'm there early when the project gets rolling, but when things move,
You're saying I don't do a good job necessarily of communicating like all the details, so they have all the details to make all the decisions that I need other people to like handle.
that I think is the one thing that we need to improve on. And I think we've made some strides lately in terms of kind of structuring all that communication,
Mm-hmm.
but it's still our shortcoming. Like,
Yeah, I mean, I would say I totally agree with you. But I speak for a lot of designers when I say that, like, it's just time, right? It's like, and also it's a lot of like a little bit of a burnout too,
Mhm.
where it's like, you're trying to like, at the end of the day, if you're a really good designer, it's you're solving problems. I mean, that's really what a true designer is. You're a problem solver. So you're solving all these problems, and then you're also like, you're creating solutions for all these people. And so like you're kind of, and you have multiple jobs, right? You're not just like working on one job. So when you turn to your team, a lot of times you say, hey, I need to do this, that, and the other. And I think a lot of people want to know always all the details when they don't necessarily, need to. But I think a lot of times they want to, and it's sort of exhausting because I've already lived through it,
Well, I know that I get, but I'm
Yeah.
going to speak for all the non-design team members out there and go, we can't read your mind. Like,
Yeah.
and it might make complete sense and seem very obvious
Mm-hmm.
to you because you've had all those conversations. You know all the details. You know all the context. You know the 13 other conversations that happened 3 weeks ago that led to this conversation.
Yeah.
That sparked this decision. That's the hard part.
I mean, I agree with you. I know I do that where it's, frankly, it's like there's only so many hours in the day, and I don't even have the words to explain it because I'm exhausted. And I'm just like, can you just do this?
I know. And once on, hopefully, most of the time, that just gets done.
It does.
But if there's one thing we need to improve on, there's that sometimes getting that done is more effort and more time consuming than it needs to be because our flow of information isn't as good as it could be. But,
Mhm.
it is a time thing. It's an efficiency issue. We need to improve some other systems and the efficiency in those systems to allow us to devote more
But also, I
energy.
would say this, like, a lot of times people would say, well, like, just take the whole team to all of your appointments. Well, that's not efficient either.
No.
I think I talked to a lot of designers about that. It's like, they need to be doing other things, and also I think it's, oh gosh, especially in residential, it's such an intimate relationship, where especially when I'm one on one with a client, it's like, we're talking sometimes about like bathroom habits, right? If I'm like, designing their entire house. And so, like, to have my whole team there and for them to like hear everything, that's just inefficient. And it's also just like, then they're not going to be as open. Also,
No, but my perfect world would be that you had a full-time PA that was not necessarily even a design assistant. Like
we've talked about this, by the way, and he's always like, that would drive you insane. I'm like, yes, it would.
Yeah, that's the problem. Is I think it would drive you absolutely bonkers to have someone just shadowing you and writing down notes about everything and reminding you about things that.
See, I already know. Like, I already know about it. Like, they're like, "Hey, you gotta do this." I'm like, I'm aware.
What time did you remember we were recording a podcast today?
6.
Yeah, exactly.
Uh-huh. I just didn't tell you that.
You told me we were doing. You told me we were on at 6 at 4:30, and I had no idea what we were on at 6:04. I thought we were golfing.
I said we're on at 6.
I thought we had a tea time. I checked the tea sheet. We weren't on it.
Too bad.
I know. But those are the types of things that I would love just for you to have a shadow that just writes things down and disseminates them to everyone else.
I get that. No, I do get that.
Just sprinkles the information like magic fairy dust.
I do get that. Mm-hmm. I do get that.
Honey.
Maybe it's like a dictation thing.
It could be. You just start voice recording. I mean, AI can transcribe it all now. That's not invasive.
Yeah, I don't think I'm alone when
all.
I don't think I'm alone when that's a lot of people's issue of like how to take that without your whole team there and trickle it down and disperse into things.
Honey,
yeah.
in your perfect world, how could I improve?
Well, I'm getting to that now. What do you think? What do you think is like the thing that I do the best?
I mean, there's a long list of things you do exceptionally well. If I had to narrow it down to...
Actually, no, I actually do one thing.
No, but I'm going to narrow it down to one aspect of the whole general design thing. Your design talent is exceptional. There's no question about that. But the thing that continues to amaze me every time I see it is your ability to extract what somebody actually wants from their conversation when they don't even know what they actually want, and then be able to present something to them that is exactly what makes them happy without them even realizing it's what they wanted. That is, we had some clients recently that this was not their first home. This was not their second home. This was their third home. And so we did the entire house. And they walked into the first design meeting, I don't think really sure what to expect out of us. Mm-hmm. And you would show them something and they were like, oh, I really like that. And then you show them, but they wanted what was the second option. And what they realized halfway through the presentation was they'd picked every single one of your first picks. And they hadn't even said, no, you didn't nail it on either choice. Every single one was, yes, that's amazing. Yes, your first pick is what I want. And they had interesting taste. They were not conservative in what they wanted. They were willing to take some risks and do things that were a little more interesting. They were fun to shop for. But that's kind of how just about every one of them goes. But with them, it was astounding because they realized that and vocalized through the process that they were amazed that you had nailed it because they weren't really even sure what their vision for the house was. But you pretty much was one go around for every single piece of furniture in that home. And it was a 3-bedroom, 2,800 square foot condo, essentially.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Or townhome.
Yeah, I would say that's probably my only talent.
It's fairly impressive to watch. I mean, it really is.
Well, I just know, I think that's the gift that I have, but,
Well, I mean, I think a lot of designers are really good at creating a beautiful design based on a client telling them what they want. It's when a client doesn't even know what they want that I'm continually astounded by what you come up with.
Well, I also ask a lot of probing questions.
Well, I'm aware.
In a therapist way.
I'm aware. I've been through the process.
Yes. Okay. So now let's get to you a little bit. Okay. So are you going to ask me a question?
I just did.
You didn't.
I just asked you if you could change one thing, if one thing I could improve on, and you turned it right back around.
Oh, yeah, you're right. Okay. Well, so the thing that I would have you improve on is talking about communication. No. When you don't want to communicate, you just won't communicate. And to compensate that, I over communicate, which drives you insane.
It does.
Yeah.
The bonkers.
Yeah. And I think that's a lot of like, especially opposites of like when someone just shuts down and the other person feels like
they need to fill the void.
Over communicate. So
some of us are comfortable in the void.
Some of us are.
Yeah.
Congratulations.
Well, thank you.
Yeah, I would say that, I would want you to communicate more, which is interesting because I feel like that's what your deal is with me. But I feel like I communicate plenty.
We need different types. I think we're both looking for different types of communication.
Yes.
But yeah.
But I mean, I think that's the thing in any project, in any construction project. Well, let me just say this. The 3 most stressful things in a person's life is death, divorce, and construction. Okay? And we choose to be a part of one of the most stressful things in people's lives. So there's so many moving parts. There's so many different people, trying to accomplish something. It's like we're dealing with not only, contractors, subs, clients, spouses, clients, sometimes friends, which I think is crazy. Like HOAs, we're dealing with, other architects that we love collaborating with, but it's just like, another team member. We're dealing with, employees. It's like all encompassing. And not only that, we're also dealing with, products and delays and other vendors and, things that are totally out of our control. So it's just like, it's bonkers, right? It's total chaos.
It is total chaos.
It's total chaos.
And generally our clients, for the most part, there's some exceptions. Most people don't build more than one house in their lifetime. I mean, some of them do. Some of them build multiple, but most people don't. Most people build one custom home, maybe 2. So it's a new process that they're always going through, and we are theoretically the experts on that process. So not only do we have to lead them through the process, we have to emotionally coach them through the process about what expectations should be.
Those are the things that I find exhausting.
Yeah.
But I feel like you're better at it than I am.
I'm pretty comfortable making other people comfortable, especially with ideas.
Or I'm
concepts.
just like, listen, you hired me for a reason. Just trust the process. Like, I'm not interested in like you telling me like why you're so stressed out about X, because it has nothing to do with me or my design.
No, but they're going to be stressed out about it, and ultimately we're going to be interacting with them throughout.
And I know that doesn't
process.
sound very nice, but it's just the truth.
Yeah, well, and you don't have.
I don't have the bandwidth.
You don't have the extra bandwidth.
No,
I've got the bandwidth, and I'm kind of good at it. So, like,
I think you actually kind of like it.
Yeah, I'm very happy to.
I think that's the difference.
Explain a foreign concept to some of our clients and make them feel comfortable with it, whether that's like a strange construction concept or just how the process is going to be.
I can say it 1 or 2 times. It's the fact that when I'm on my 13th time, I'm like, man, I
just have a very trustworthy face.
Wow.
Even though I don't smile. Yeah. Very trustworthy.
What do you think the best thing is about you that you bring to the business?
That's a good question. I mean, there are definitely. I am an exceptional furniture mover.
You are. I would definitely say that.
I truly excel. I'm probably in the top 1% of furniture movers
nationally.
Without
a doubt.
Yeah.
I'm very lucky.
If there were playoffs, I'd
very lucky.
I'd be a contender.
Yes.
I don't tend to get worked up about much, which is sometimes a detriment. But
until you do.
Until I do. But no, I tend to be the fairly calm, reassuring. Well, technically it's on my business card. I am the voice of reason.
You are.
Yeah. I don't tend to let things bother me much on an emotional level. So I kind of be a calming influence when things go sideways. And I kind of excel in that moment of chaos.
Mm-hmm.
I might even enjoy it, which is probably not healthy. But
You do?
I do. Yeah. I'm not hoping things go really wrong. I'm just not upset.
I would
when
also
they go
say
wrong.
that your personality is you love a fire. He loves to be a firefighter, is what I would say.
I love an emergency.
You do.
Yeah.
Which is great in this business because there's emergency every, no, whether it's, again, a shipment being stuck wherever it needs to be here and whatever.
It'll all get itself sorted out.
Yeah, I know. And yeah. Mm-hmm. I think sometimes especially when it comes to a project, I care too much.
No, you have more emotional involvement with the project.
Yeah.
You have more emotional.
Well, also it just takes up my mind. Like I'm thinking, when I'm onto a project, I don't take it lightly. So I only take on, like a few large projects a year, and I'm thinking about them night and day, all the time. That's just how I am, how I operate.
Yeah, but you also are more emotionally involved with the clients.
Yeah.
And for me, it's more of a logistical problem. How do we fix this?
Right.
Like, yes, I know these people are going to be upset. I want to avoid that at all costs. How do I solve this problem?
Mm-hmm.
I'm not panicked about their reaction.
Mm-hmm.
But one of the reasons I'm not panicked about their reaction is I'm not the one who has to deal with it. You do. You're the one who gets the text message or gets the angry phone call, and then I might be the one who responds to it, depending on the situation. But you're the one who is the face for most of these things. So I just have to get things sorted out, which removes all the emotional pressure.
How nice for you.
It is fairly nice.
That's congratulations.
If you were good
It's
at
really good to be Zach.
it's not bad to be Zach. Although, let's be honest, you're not very good at that part of the business too.
That's not true. I problem solve every day.
What part of problem solving was I about to say before you cut me off? Therein lies the problem. And the world will never know. Because I also don't like repeating myself. So
What were you going to say?
You don't excel at problem solving when it comes to technical and logistical issues. Like, you are good at making a vendor do something with it they said they're going to do and follow through, but you don't excel at running down a FedEx shipment that's gone haywire and then
No, I just don't want to.
And then finding the phone number for the depot manager in Hermiston and driving down there at the middle of the night to pick up a sofa at 1 a.m. That's not the part of the job that you excel at.
Correct.
Yeah,
because I just don't want to.
Then that's me over here doing those things.
That's very true. Yeah. I'm at my corner desk, like doing line drawing elevations at 2 a.m.
Mm-hmm.
That's where I go.
I'm just having nightmares about the solid wood stump coffee table you brought in and how I'm going to move it into a client's house up 3 flights of stairs. That's what keeps me up at night.
Yeah. Well, this has been great.
We should do this more often.
Yeah.
Yeah. I feel like we've bonded even more than we already were.
Read the Room is brought to you by Design for the People, a full-service design studio and furniture boutique. To learn more, visit www.designfortheppl.com.